104.7.
#MSW. You may begin to feel anxious or excited.
Honest, deliberate, engaging, uncensored.
High-dosage administration can cause adverse reactions.
And most importantly, independent in mind and execution.
This is a normal response. Are you ready?
Marawa Sports Worldwide.
I think it's fitting for us to play We Are the Champions in celebration of the Telecom Radio Awards.
We competed, you are a star.
So I would like to take this moment and say congratulations to you.
It is the best sport program I've ever listened to.
But Rob, on a Reaction Monday, I just want to say that we need to shower Kellen Swart with praises as much as we criticize her. 2 brilliant saves, which I believe are the reasons why Banyana is going to the WAFCON next year.
Desiree Ellis, the coach of Banyana, joins me on the line.
We're really excited. You know, Kellen was good making us save right at the beginning and right at the end, but the resilience that this group shows, the character that they showed.
On X, on the platform, Kwali Omkulu says that on the football side, it's been a great week for us Kaizer Chiefs fans as the club didn't play.
Who could have guessed that Stellenbosch, TS Galaxy will be the final of the Black Label Cup? Wow, Mr. Marawa, we're living in a good time of football in South Africa. I'm telling you, Chiefs struggling to be in the top 8, Pirates struggling.
I did make mention of Janine van Wyk, given a record 185th cap today. History made.
Overall, this has just been the cherry on top of the cake of a lengthy career for me. A great fulfillment for me reaching this milestone.
Robert Marawa, live on 947. Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live. #MSW.
Well, if you're wondering where the magic is happening tonight, look no further than the English Premier League, because for the very first time in nearly 32 years, the trip to Kenilworth Road to face Luton Town, a side has been buoyed after winning their first Premier League home game 10 days ago. What's this action going to be like? Well, the ramshackle ground is not exactly a place that Arsenal have historically enjoyed visiting, as they haven't won any of their last 10 trips over there. And that stretches back to Don Howe's tenure as manager in the mid-80s. The Gunners' victory over Wolves on Saturday, meaning that they retained their status as the league's top dogs for yet another match day. Although Mikel Arteta will undoubtedly have some concerns over how they allowed Wolves to get back into that contest after such an impressive start. If you're watching that game, Luton, though, they've proven to be an annoyance during their maiden Premier League voyage so far. But how much of an annoyance will they be tonight? While bereft of outstanding quality, though, Rob Edwards' smart coaching, and I think a lot of people have given him praise, ensuring that, the Hatters have been competitive thus far. However, tonight they'll be hosting a massive, massive one indeed. Nick Callow, Arsenal correspondent at Haters TV, is coming through for us live from the UK, and we join him live now to chat about this. Nick, thank you so much for your time. Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure. And as you said, this is a really interesting fixture, isn't it? You've got Luton back in Premier League, back in the top flight for the first time in such a long time. I'm actually old enough to remember the 1991 when they last played and Luton won. But that season, coincidentally, Arsenal did go on to win the league, even though they lost that match. I think it's something crazy, like they haven't won there in something like 10 games. I was covering Arsenal's match against Wolves at the weekend when they beat them 2-1, a bit of a nervous finish to that one, but they were really comfortable winners. And Mikel Arteta was saying to us afterwards in the press conference that he has never been to Kenilworth Road. He's never been to the Luton ground. He doesn't know what it's like. But he says there's lots of things he's never done before. He was never a manager before he was manager at Arsenal. He likes to write his own history. And, he was only 8 or 9 years old when that last time Arsenal played at Kenilworth Road. And the Luton town manager, Rob Edwards, who's a good friend of Mikel Arteta, they studied their coaching badges together, quite interestingly. He was only about 8 or 9 years old. So a lot of people going into new territory tonight, perhaps not so much for seasoned reporters like myself, although this will be the first time I've been to Luton's ground since they came back to the top flight. I don't think it's changed a lot, judging by from what I've seen on TV. I can let you know, though, looking out the window The skies are grey. It's been raining all day, and the conditions, you could say, maybe will suit Luton because Arsenal like to pass the ball around on a slick pitch. As I said, it will be slick because it's wet, but if it's a bit muddy too, then that could play into Luton's hands.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that because, it feels like that, Nick, unfortunately, for a team that loves to play that carpet football, they call it, champagne type of football with great passing. I called it a bit of a ramshackle of a ground. Will not suit Arsenal in any way, but also the history. I talked about 10 trips over there, and Arsenal, believe it or not, have not been able to win any of those games. Would you liken it to maybe a trip to a Stoke City of some sort?
Yes, Stoke's one of those grounds. This is going to be really interesting for us. On paper, look at the team. Arsenal have got this fantastic, very expensively assembled team that's lost only once this season, and albeit in controversial circumstances, to that hotly disputed goal, a late goal away to Newcastle. They've beaten Manchester City. They've got that off their backs. They're flying in the Champions League, top of their group there, the top of the Premier League. And I must admit, if you push me to make a prediction, I'd say that Arsenal will win here. But you've seen teams like Liverpool go to Kenilworth Road, and they've really struggled, to get a positive result there. And it's very tough to predict. And it definitely it's a tiny ground. These tiny grounds have the most intense atmospheres because the crowd are right on top of the pitch. And I was talking to some people who work behind the scenes at Arsenal the weekend. And for a friend of mine, he said, Nick, can you help me get some tickets for the Luton match? Surely that's quite easy. And he said, no, it's the toughest ticket in town. All the employees at Arsenal who may or may not be entitled to some tickets say that getting tickets for the Luton away match is the biggest, toughest task of the season. And everyone wants to go to see what it's going to be like. It's such a curious old ground. Ramshackle is probably the right word. I think they've upgraded it to the Premier League. At least I hope they have, so I can do my report for Haters TV, like you were saying.
And when you talk about a ground like that, and you talk about a trip away for Arsenal and the tickets that are going to be available or not available, and I know sometimes they subdivide, they give the away team X number of tickets. How many do you think the Arsenal fans might have access to? Because they're going to be drowned out in any way.
Yes, I can quickly check that for you, but it's going to be something like 1,000, 2,000. In fact, it is 1,000 fans. I've just double-checked that.
Yeah.
While we're talking. So around 1,000 fans. Now, 1,000 fans all together making a noise can make quite a big noise, and especially if they can, if the home team's not doing quite well. But when those teams come out, all they're better hear is the sounds of the Luton fans, the Hatters, as they call themselves, because that's what they used to make the hats in that time, in that part of the world. It'll be intimidating. But this Arsenal team now, they've got experienced players. Again, Jorginho, I don't know if I mentioned before, but I was talking to Jorginho, the Italian midfielder, after their match against Wolves, and he's never played at Kenilworth Road. He's never played against Luton. And he said that, we learn quickly. We've got experienced players, we've got young players, and by the time we go out there this evening now, we will be ready. We'll have done our homework. We'll be prepared. We'll know what to expect, and I think Arsenal will be ready for it. They've come up against bigger problems than Luton Town in this season and the last year or so. I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be able to handle it.
I'm not sure if you have any news for us here, Nick, regarding late fitness tests that have been due to be given to some of the players from Luton, the defender Tom Lockyer, as well as Tayden Mengi. We saw them coming off the game against Brentford, back and knee problems respectively. Has any been the latest news to say whether or not we can expect them to play tonight?
No news yet. We get the team news an hour before kickoff, which is another 4 hours before now. Just as soon as I get off this call to you, I'm going to get up to Kenilworth Road as quick as I can, because in this weather, it's going to be a bit of a journey up the M1 motorway. Lockyer and Mengi, they're both important players for Luton. If they're close, I'm sure we give them a chance. I see that Alfie Delty is maybe returning from his hip injury. And I've forgotten that Albert Sambi Lakonga, the Belgian international, was on loan from Arsenal at Luton. He, of course, is ineligible. For Arsenal, you're looking at does Tomiyasu start? He came off towards the end of that match against Wolves the weekend. I suspect he won't start, and Ben White, who is possibly an upgrade, even though he hasn't started the last few games, will start instead of him for Arsenal. So Arsenal, they've still got a few injury problems. Thomas Partey out, Smith Rowe, and so on. But do you know what? To answer you, I don't know about Lockie Mengi, but there's no rumours going around about those fitness tests that I've heard anyway.
Yeah, just keeping clean sheets hasn't been their best hobby, you would say, from a Luton perspective. How can Arsenal capitalise on that?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, they will set up defensively. That'll be their first aim tonight. They play with this sort of strange modern phrase, the low block. And, Arsenal love to be a counter-attacking team. There's really swift attacks, getting the balls out wide to the wingers, Gabriel Martinelli and Bukayo Saka. I suspect what Edwards will do, because he's no fool as a manager, they're not a bad team, he will put two men on Saka. Everyone does that. They'll double up on Martinelli as well. And, that stops the supply into players like Gabriel Jesus down the middle. But they've got so much ability. And if you've got Martin Odegaard, the captain, the Norwegian midfielder, and he can just produce defensive unlocking passes just that other people can't even envisage. He's such a good player, and Declan Rice alongside the midfield. I just think if Arsenal have to be patient, they have to be very patient, and they will respect the fact that Luton will be a tough team to break down. It's been a weird season for Arsenal. They don't seem to be scoring goals early on in matches, unlike they did last season. Although, as I'm saying that out loud, they scored very early twice against Wolves at the weekend. They scored 5 in the first half against Lons in the match I covered in the Champions League last week. So maybe that's changing. Maybe things are clicking into gear. And we're only a third of the way season, but it's a very big match for Arsenal. It's a testing one. And, of course, after this, they've got another trip up the M1 on Saturday when they go to play Aston Villa, who are, as we speak, they're in fourth position, managed by Arsenal's old manager, Unai Emery. So, I think they've just got to be patient and hope that their passing abilities and skills and individual talents will win the night for them.
Before I let you go, Nick, a big moment again for Bukayo Saka. We heard the coach, Mikel Arteta, speaking very fondly and very proudly of him, his commitment and what he's done for Arsenal, also just for the brand itself. 200th appearance tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how quickly that's come up. And I was just looking into that stat, doing my sort of homework for that. I think the last player to come through 200 games through the club quicker than that was a guy called Cliff Bastin, who was an Arsenal goal scorer striker from the 1930s, which is even before I was aware of Arsenal born. And he was the club's record goal scorer until Ian Wright came along, and then Thierry Henry outscored Ian Wright. It's a phenomenal record for Bukayo Saka. I mean, he gets kicked and he gets kicked and he gets kicked. He's Arsenal's most important player, arguably, which is why he gets kicked so much. So how he keeps turning up every single match to start again, when he hobbles out with most of them, limping, he limps off at the end of the match, even if he's substituted or not. He's a tough guy. He's so young. He's so mature. It's a really testament to his sort of mentality that he's always puts himself up for a selection, whether he's battered or bruised, whatever. And Arsenal, well, I was about to say they're lucky to have him. They're not lucky to have him because they scouted him when he was a 9-year-old. They've nurtured him through his sort of childhood now into a young man. And he's very, very, very well rewarded now. His latest contract makes him one of the top paid players at the club. So he won't be going anywhere soon. A big night for him, as you say, 200 games for Arsenal. A club of that size is an achievement, and at such a young age is remarkable.
Score prediction.
Nah. Okay, I'm going to go for Luton Town 1, Arsenal 3. But as I'm saying that, I don't really believe it. But that's what I'm going to say. So if you want to get me back on to talk about it and tell you why I've got it all wrong or all right, you've got my number. So
brilliant stuff. And one thing, Nick, I think to you and your team, great work with Haters TV Live. Really love the work. Keep it up.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll chat to you soon.
Okay. Nice to catch up with you. Have a great show.
Thank you very much indeed. That's Nick Callow. Catch him, Arsenal correspondent there at Haters TV Live from the UK. And talking about Bukayo Saka, just saying that, Bukayo Saka makes a difference for Arsenal. I think Saka at 22 years and 91 days, becoming the youngest English player to reach the milestone for the Gunners. You heard from Nick saying only Cliff Bastin back in 1934 would have achieved anything like this?
I would say it's an inspiring place. I think what they've done is remarkable. What Rob did with the team last year, the way they did it, what they transmit as a team, we are neighbors, always very close from here. So it's just an amazing story, and they fully deserve all the credit that they are getting from last year, as well the way they are playing this season, the results that they got, how close the games they've been, all the games that they played, they've been extremely close. So tomorrow we're going to have a really intense and difficult match. It's just like watching a kid race, and get older and mature and evolve and still have the same humbleness and willingness to become better and better and get to know the people are close to him in his life as well, and the impact that they have on him. All the academy people that has worked with him over the years as well to make him the player that he is today, that they have to take a huge compliment of who Bukayo is today. And then let him be. Bukayo is a special guy. We have him with us, and hopefully for many years to come.
Yeah, have him for many, many years to come. What are the people saying? What are they expecting from tonight?
Good afternoon, Mr. Marawa. It's Khala here from Centurion. Mr. Marawa, if Arsenal don't take this chance of winning the league this season, they're not going to make it, I think these are the games that Arsenal struggle in, so they need to come out firing today and get those 3 points. You need to get the 3 points from the smaller teams. That's how you win the league. So I wish the Gunners well tonight. It's going to be a very, very hard game. I think the atmosphere is going to play in Luton Town's favour, and this is one of the games that they would want to win, Luton. So the atmosphere is going to be amazing. I can't wait for the game. I wish the Gunners well. These are the games we need to win. These are the games we need to win for them to win the league. So best of luck to the Gunners tonight. Gunners of London. Thank you, Mr. Marawa.
Gunners of London. A lot of confidence there. What are the other Gunners feeling as they drive home listening to the show? Give us your opinion and your thoughts. Prince Sobayeni, digital scout, overseas player monitor, someone that we are very proud of the kind of work that he's done. He'll be up next.
#MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live at the same time.
#MSW. Take a vacation with Lotto Star's Summer of Millions giveaway. From 1 December to 31 January, you could win a share of 100,000 Rand in cash daily. Bet 100 Rand or more every day to get your hands on a golden ticket. Our Furry Pal Lotto will draw out 5 winning golden tickets every day at 12 p.m. sharp. Visit lottostar.co.za and make this your Summer of Millions.
Lotto Star is licensed by the Mpumalanga Economic Regulator. No under 18s. National Responsible Gambling Program. 0800 006 008. T's and C's apply. All games are fixed odds betting events.
I'm Shane in South Africa. I am Dr. and I have a heavy matter to discuss with you. If your boss told you to wing it, and so you brought hot wings to the meeting, if you are most likely to enjoy the Hot Wings Party 16 than your stepson's Sweet 16th party, and if you told Umashonisa you can't pay them back, but they saw you with a box of hot wings and soul fries and 2 bottles of Soulfire sauce, you need to see me. Doctor, you won't find me in scrubs and a hoodie, no. But you can find me on 087-537-6040. Anytime, anywhere, even now, to help you cure the craving. Let us make the craving a thing of the past. Chicken licking, soul food. Terms and conditions apply. Dr. is not a registered member of the Health Board and is not an alumni of any prestigious institution. Results are not guaranteed.
Sandton City is pulling out all the stops to make this festive season the most magical one yet with Momo's Magical Adventure. A show set to delight the whole family through song and dance. Experience a proudly South African story of joy, friendship and generosity. Join us for this delightful production from 8 December to 7 January. Bookings now open at santoncity.com. See you in the city this festive season for Momo's Magical Adventure.
Save at Food Lovers Market with Big Deal Wednesday. Buy 2 1 kg tomato thrift packs for only 25 Rand. And get 2 English cucumbers absolutely free. That's 2 thrift packs of juicy tomatoes for 25 Rand. And 2 crunchy English cucumbers free. And enjoy 16-piece chicken braai packs at just 49.99 per kilo. Valid this Wednesday only at all Inland Food Lovers Market stores. The best in fresh, guaranteed.
Success looks different for all of us. What we do have in common is our eagerness for a brighter tomorrow. A tomorrow where parents' hope becomes a child's reality. A tomorrow where success is not just owning a degree, it's owning the pathway to the rest of your life. Own tomorrow with Richfield. Study an undergraduate or postgraduate degree online or on campus at Bryanston, Newtown, Centurion or Pretoria. Apply today at richfield.ac.za.
Thank you, sir. May you travel as magnificently as you lived.
There's a certain, I don't even know if I can still call him a journalist, Jermaine Craig.
I'm in tears as I'm sitting here talking to you. And I'm looking at a picture of me and Diego Armando Maradona. This was my football hero. I'm so blessed, me and you and everyone and so many who are so blessed to work in football and in sport. We get to meet our heroes and we get to interact and spend time with them. But Robert, so many people grew to love this game that we all love. Sometimes you pinch yourself that you get to meet and you interact with your heroes. And I'm blessed and I'm in tears, Robert. It's been a year so difficult for everyone in the world.
I respect you and I thank you for that. Stay strong,
Robert. Thank you for the call, Robert. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you, Jermaine Craig.
Tribute from #MSW on 947. Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live.
It's one of those things where I can say, we warned you, we told you. Hey, isn't that what the late Archbishop Desmond Tutu would say? I am warning you. I am warning you. But I can sweetly tell you, though, that it was going to be a matter of time before someone recognized the incredible work that this man is doing. I mean, let's face it. No one tracks and monitors our lesser-known talents abroad like him. Tell me someone, and I'll give you a piece of land. And this guy was born in the Eastern Cape. Le Lusikisik. Pretty much multifaceted, a football writer, digital scout, player manager, reporter. Focuses on player monitoring, discovering, profiling, recruiting, and reporting. And has also made some massive strides in terms of bringing the journey of the players closer to the South African public through various platforms and initiatives. With well over, 70 young players discovered around the world using the tools of digital scouting and player tracking. But it's just the beginning, I would imagine. There's so much more to come because the software technical director, Walter Steenbok, kind of revealed the other day that in early 2024, they're going to be heading to Europe with the passionate Mr. Prince Sobayen, as they aim to discover more young talent eligible to represent South Africa. Now that, for me, is reaching a goal that I think he would have loved, probably would not have dreamt of, but would have wished for. And I'm told that they plan as well to start in these Scandinavian countries, and is here to tell us which of those players has caught his eye recently. I mean, how many years ago? I remember this man walking into our studios very, very nervous. He thought the microphone was going to bite him. That's how nervous he was. Sweating profusely throughout the entire interview. But we said, you know what? One thing we do with MSW is that we give the lesser given opportunities to kind of individuals an opportunity to step forward because there is a bigger picture of what we realize they can do in changing the fortunes of this country's football that's been on its knees for so many years. You remember that time. You laugh because you remember.
I remember, Rob. Good evening, Rob.
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, man. Hey. It's been a while. I couldn't wait for you to come back so that we can finally meet again, you know?
I know. It's long overdue.
Actually, you know, when some of the things happened, actually, you are one of the first few people that I think of, and I'm like, you know, Rob needs to know this. And you know this, I WhatsApp you and I would tell you, Rob, this just happened. And, you know, it's unbelievable, man, how time flies. It was about 5 years ago, actually, when that happened, when you surprisingly, you know, made contact with me and we did the work that we did at the time. I would have never thought some of the things that have happened in the past few years, could happen. The recognition, the support that I've been receiving, especially from South Africans as well, man. It's been an amazing journey. And when I sit and think, and I'm thinking, this is literally step zero. We've still got so much to do, in the years to come, because it's just.
But you wanted it, though.
Yeah.
The fact is, you wanted it. If you didn't want it as much as you did, you would have still been, just Prince Obayeni on Twitter, on X, just writing about football, and people just thinking maybe, who's this crazy kid that's sending us all of these things? Because sometimes people don't take you seriously until you step up your game, and then you start to uncover news and gems that we would have never seen. So now it's different. People have shown you respect. I even see the interaction on social media now. It comes with respect because the people know that you have the power to break through and give us the names of all of these individuals. How does that make you feel now?
For a very long time, when you are doing something that is new, something different, something that sometimes people don't even understand. Yeah. What is the importance of what you are doing? What is the end goal? What is the vision behind that? You're sort of in a world of your own, because you don't necessarily have people on a day-to-day basis to share your vision, to share your understanding of what you are doing. So sometimes you'd wake up and be like, you know what, maybe this is not worth it. But at the end of the day, when I think about why I started to do what I'm doing, and then I wake up the next day with a bit of motivation to say, you know what, you are seeing the difference from the time that you started to where you are. So just keep going, and things are going to start to unfold and become better. Because if I had given up, maybe what the vision that I have, for South African football, maybe through my work, the contribution that I want to put to South African football, maybe it won't be seen, and people will think that he is that kid, that crazy kid, if ultimately what I'm doing then does not come to fruition. So it's a good thing when you get recognition and you're motivated to keep going forward. And yeah, man, it's
and
good
forward
stuff.
You've got to go, though. Before we get to a couple of names, and I said to you off air, I said we're still going to do a proper show with you for a full hour, because the names that you've come up with, some of the discoveries that you've made are worth talking about. But I want to mention something that I know the South African Football Association are still going to talk about and make a statement about, sometime, I don't know, whether it's next year or later this year. It's just that the technical director had let it slip that you will be working quite closely with him. And that made me happy, because it's coming from the highest decision maker when it comes to who gets to be within the football fraternity from a player perspective. So if the TD is the one that is saying that to you, what does that say to Prince Obayeni?
It's I would say it's a dream come true. It's a dream come true for me. In fact, when he first came into the office, actually, one of the things that he did was to call me to say, I've heard about this Prince, but come and meet me. Tell me what you're about. What do you want to do? Because I know that, naturally he's also a scout. So he sort of understands that element of the game. So when he called me and said, you know what, I'm a scout, and a part of me understands what you are talking about, what you want to do, but come and tell me, what is it that, what is on your mind? What is your vision? And we had the conversation, I went to SAFA for a couple of times to meet him so that we can understand how we can best introduce, a good working relationship. And I might say that the conversation was very fruitful, and there is a way forward. Like you said, that he came out to say this is a project that we are starting with an idea of working together on a short term now, but in the long term, the relationship must grow so that we are able to, because at the end of the day, we all want to see what's best for South African football.
At every level, any level, because again, I'll just warn everybody that's listening to the show or watching on YouTube is that we've got an exciting guest that's going to be coming up later on, Gabriella Kelly Niemack, who will be joining us, and a fantastic story. So I'll save that. They're going to be coming in shortly. I wanted to touch on Wayland Reneker, 17-year-old left-footed centre-back, born in England to South African parents from Cape Town. Tell me more.
Wayland, for me, I believe he's the future Bafana captain. Yeah. Currently captain. Now, captain. Future Bafana captain for sure. I believe he's one of the outstanding defenders at his age group. He was born in England, brought up in England, but was brought up with a strong South African connection through the parents who were always, involving him in terms of letting him know who you are, who he is, and one day that you play for South Africa. But like any other kid, man, when you are in England, it's not so easy to know which platforms maybe or which ways to know how to play for the national team. And fortunately for him, I discovered him and you know what, I exposed his story and I spoke about his story, to South Africa, and he plays for Norwich City. And eventually, even though he had played for England at under 16 level, when the opportunity came for him to play for South Africa, I remember he sent me a message to say, you know what, I received a call up. What do you think I should do? And I'm like, but we've had this conversation before. This is what I think you should do. And the next day he texted me and said, I'm flying back to South Africa. Wow. And I've made my decision with my family because this is what we always wanted, including the father who gave me a call and said, you know what, Prince, thank you so much. We didn't even know how to start because we always wanted this kid to play for South Africa, but there was no platform for him to be known and recognized. And on the next week, this boy was here in the under-17 camp, and not so long ago, he was at the under-17 AFCON playing for his national team. And England have sort of backed off on him now since he's made his choice. Yes. And that's what we must do with all of the other boys. Even though
Did he get a chance to play, though?
He played all the games.
He did.
He played all the games. He played all the games.
Because I like that mentality. We've had coaches in the past who say, oh, okay, just because you're bringing some kid from overseas, who does he think or she think she is? They're going to sit on the bench. And then after all of that, they don't get a chance to play. Now, he recently signed, a 5-year pro deal with the club, Norwich. Good move?
Of course, very good move. I mean, for a player who was 16, 17 to be signed on a 5-year deal, it shows the potential that the player has, but more importantly, the belief and trust that the club has in the player. They see that this boy has got a bright future ahead of him, and for us to have had the player already playing for us, and he signed a 5-year deal and is already playing for the B team at Norwich at the age of 17. Wow. It must tell you something, I was very happy when I saw him in the previous Bafana squad, Kosafa squad. Even though he was 17, he was included at the time, which shows also that the head office is one of the names, that they are prioritizing there. So it's beautiful, man. We've got maybe I would say over 8 of these boys with a similar case, 5-year contracts, 16, 17 years of age, and they're all either playing for South Africa or they qualified to play for South Africa, and they're willing to come and play for South Africa.
I love that. I love the fact that the parents are backing the move to play for South Africa, regardless of the fact that England had already had them play or represent them at a junior national team level. Now, Faith Noktula, Owusu. I mean, here's a rare case now. Born overseas, South African mother, Ghanaian father, but opting to represent South Africa. What's cooking here?
It's one of the most beautiful stories, man. Stories of Faith. I mean, when we brought her into the fray, in the South African sort of football fraternity, people were asking, what's the story? And you'd say, no, she was born overseas to a South African mother and a Ghanaian father. People are like, this one is Ghanaian. She's going to play for Ghana. If she's not playing for Ghana, she's going to play for the, for the European nation. And she came out to say, no, man, I want to play for South Africa. It was always clear. I want to do this for my grandmother because it would mean so much for her and my mother as well for me to play for South Africa. There was never any other option. And I think during the 2010 World Cup, she was one of the mascots as well in the World Cup. So there was just a beautiful story behind her. And, she was brought in by Coach Des, and eventually yesterday she got her first minutes in the national team after a couple of camps, which I would imagine maybe they were just adjusting her maybe to the new environment. But I'm happy that she made a debut at the age of 21. She's still got a big, international future for
playing it right back. I believe that she was also honed and developed by Tottenham Hotspur before she joined Brighton and Hove Albion, and ultimately where she is now with Blackburn Rovers.
Yeah, she was developed at Tottenham. Started playing first team football when she moved to Brighton, but at that age what you need is to play regular first team football, and she opted to go to Blackburn when she got the opportunity, and it has worked out for her, man. I mean, she got the national team call up because she's playing regularly for Blackburn and she's doing well. So obviously because she's already played top division football in England, and she's the first South African to do so, female footballer to do so, she's definitely destined for the big time again. I'm sure she'll be back in the top flight in no time. So it's a beautiful story, man. There are many South African female footballers who were born overseas or moved overseas when they were young, and they also deserve to come and play, for Banyana, for the junior national teams. I was watching the Philippines in the World Cup. All of the players, they were born in America. They're playing college football, and they qualified Philippines to the World Cup. So if we have players like that, we also must utilize them.
Then what do we do with the 17-year-old Vitesse Arnhem midfielder, Michael de Komru? I mean, he's been on the rise, I believe, in the Netherlands, currently playing for the club's reserve team. A solid campaign last season and this season with the club's academy. Tell me more.
Yeah, it's another story of, a youngster who qualifies to play for different nations. I mean, his father is Nigerian, but the mother is South African. So, I remember before the Africa Cup of Nations, when he was going to play for South Africa for the first time in the under-17s, the Nigerians were like, South Africa is stealing a Nigerian wonder kid. And, he came out to clarify that I was born in South Africa. I was raised in South Africa. The only culture, the only country and home that I know is South Africa. So I'm going to play for South Africa. And ultimately played in the AFCON, and he scored a goal against Zambia. And I think he played all of the games at the AFCON. And now he's playing at Vitesse. He's also signed a 5-year deal with Vitesse, and he's already training with the first team and playing for the reserves at the age of 17 as well. So that is something quite beautiful. He even has a younger brother who's 13 years old playing for the same team. So that family is giving us,
Some family business already.
Yeah.
All right, stick around because I'm gonna pop a voice note for you, which is probably a question. And then after the break, I'm looking forward to our guest, man. Gabriella Kelly Niemack is here to chat to us about who she is, firstly, and where she's going to. But here's a question.
How's it, Rob? Greg here from Midbank. You got a man who has helped Bafana and both Banyana in terms of bringing overseas contingent to help us progress further with the national teams. My question for him, maybe it's not football related, but most of the kids, the youngsters that are adopted and currently in Netherlands and across Europe, do they ever state the reasons why they were adopted?
Adopted? Do they ever state the reasons? You want to know the answer? Stick around.
#MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live at the same time. #MSW.
Whether you're simply unwinding with the fam or hanging out with friends, the Soft Life is for everyone this summer. Treat yourself and your loved ones to the Soft Life for less with Debonair's Pizza and get 2 large Real Deal pizzas for the special price of $149.90. That's right, 2 large Real Deal pizzas for the special price of $149.90. Offer valid in-store only. Click and collect through the Debonair's Pizza app. T's and C's apply. Debonair's Pizza. Try something amazing.
You know what's cooler than being in the know? It's knowing what's cool and getting up to 30% of Xiaomi smart products. Like if you're still using a manual vacuum, not cool. Hello, Xiaomi smart robot vacuum. If your TV doesn't have every streaming app, you definitely need a Xiaomi TV Box S. Facts. There's a Xiaomi product to make you cooler. Available at Take-A-Lot's Incredible Connection and Macro. Xiaomi. Innovation for everyone. T's and C's apply while stocks last.
Make the most of summer with Specsavers' unbeatable sunglass offer. Introducing our exciting buy one, get one summer promotion. Get a free pair of branded single vision sunglasses up to 3,200 Rand. Choose from top brands like Police Eyewear, Hugo, and Carolina Herrera. To get your free pair, simply purchase a comprehensive eye examination, frame, and prescription lenses. Visit us today or book online. Specsavers for affordable eye care and a whole lot more. T's and C's apply.
Who wants to hear some T's and C's? I don't. But yeah, there are anyway. Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Old Mutual Insure, a licensed FSP and non-life insurer. T's and C's apply. I mean, really, what a waste of time. Yes, this is another version of the ridiculously short 30-second Pineapple ad. Go to pineapple.co.za for 100% insurance, 0% other stuff. Where once again, thanks to the verbose mandatory T's and C's I just mentioned, we're not going to find out more about...
Work. Just a little bit longer. In a few months, we'll be sipping something sweet, chit-chatting by the beachfront. Until then, there's plenty midnight oil to burn and no time to miss the mark. We can't afford to cut corners. We're doing this rat race by the book because nothing's on the back burner when mountains need moving or gas, no...
Breaks are important. Take the Renault summer break and get a payment holiday of up to 6 months. Drive now and pay later when you purchase a new Renault Clio or Renault Kiger Turbo. Book a test drive today at Renault.co.za. Offer valid for this month only. T's and C's apply.
Shape your degree, your future, your career. The IIE MSA campus in the West Rand is the largest private higher education campus in South Africa, with a unique and exciting student experience, world-class facilities, on-campus residences, and a wide range of study areas to choose from. Applications for 2024 are open. Inquire now at iiemsa.co.za. IIE MSA is a leading brand of the Independent Institute of Education, a registered higher education provider.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Desiree Ellis, the coach of Banyana, joins me on the line. 100th time in charge of Banyana. Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you. Actually, Brian Mofokeng actually came to me before the game. I had not realized, to be honest. I always say we don't do things for awards and rewards. I actually had not realized big ups to the people that I work with because they play a huge role in keeping us all motivated.
For you, what stands out?
It's got to be that WAFCON victory, first of all, Rob. Getting back-to-back World Cups and going to the last 16 of the World Cup. And we could have gone further. And I say we sit down 20 years from now, we will tell ourselves that we could have actually have won it.
#MSW. #MSW.
Yeah, we're definitely family. My sisters and my brothers are in the studio. I mean, there's no greater way to celebrate South African football, man. And whenever there's an opportunity to support promising, great talent, we've got to do that. And let's do it with the massive, massive talent that is all over the country. And one such talent, and you must remember the name, because she's only rising and rising. Gabriella Kelly Niemack, known as Gabby. She'll tell me why she was nicknamed the principal, though. A great, great talent, a great starlet, unfazed, brave, ever so determined, a career in Europe. For her, this is coming from me, but for her, career in Europe definitely beckons. Going to be getting in touch and finding out a little bit more about what she's achieved so far and what she stands to achieve and how we here can help her to get through all of that. Gabriella, good to see you, man. Welcome to the show.
Evening, Rob. How is it?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Wearing a Man United jersey, hey? Oh.
Leave my team alone, firstly.
You're going to go meet Eric Ten Hag. If you had to meet him, what's the first thing you would say to him?
I honestly don't know. I'd probably tell him to fix the team some way or somehow.
Where's it lacking?
Everywhere.
But, I mean, back to where it matters most. It's always about the interest. And people always say, where did this interest start for you? Seeing this round ball and you being attracted to it and then you becoming the football player that you are. Where did it begin?
My dad was actually a coach at Florida Albion.
Yeah.
Back when, since before I was even born. So having been in that environment since I was really young, I ended up picking up the ball when I was 4 because my sister was training on the fields and my dad was coaching teams. So it just began from there and it just hasn't stopped and I just grew to love the game from there.
But what about your friends? They'll be like, why are you playing football? Shouldn't you be trying something else?
I think I was too young to remember that.
Yeah, so you just dived straight into the interest, which was football.
Yeah. And nobody questioned it because they could see I was able to play among boys and I was able to compete well enough. So it just went from there and I was just stuck with boys until I was 13? So, yeah, nobody really questioned it.
But I think one of the fascinating stories would be whatever the age group you were in, you would play against boys of a higher age group. Was that testing you all the time? Was that giving you the kind of challenge that you needed?
100%. Coming against boys, there's the aggression, there's the speed, there's just the style of play is completely different compared to when you're playing among girls.
Yeah.
So I grew up playing against boys and that aggression just came all the way through. And I was 13 when I played my last year with the boys team. And in that year, I think when I was 12 and 13, I was playing in the boys' first team in the starting lineup almost all the time.
Wow.
And that obviously came with a bit of difficulty because under 11, I was sitting in the B team and, I wasn't the best of footballers, but with a lot of training and dedication and my dad by my side, obviously, I was able to make a step into the first team and just go from there.
When you talk about your dad, he's not too far away from you, hey, Trevor?
Yeah.
Good to see you. Welcome.
Good evening, Rob.
Hey, very proud man. Hey.
You can see the smile on my face.
This journey so far, and just you as a coach. I mean, Gabby's talked very fondly about you, the coach, waking up, seeing you training people, and then her becoming involved in football. What has it meant, and what sort of guidance has there been from you?
You asked the first question, when's the first time I remember Gabby? I've got a picture of her in our kitchen with putting cones down with a ball, dribbling around at the age of 2 and 3. You know, that's where it is. We have plenty of disagreements on what is the correct way to approach, whether it is a training, her games, time on the park.
Yeah.
And she's gotten to be fairly mature for her age in terms of understanding what is right and wrong at that point. So for me, it means, the work and the effort of running around, whether it was early mornings, winter mornings in Johannesburg, fields, training, games. She's put herself in a position now that allows her to take what is her passion and make it her craft. So I'm really proud of her.
How soon are we going to get that craft into a team in Europe?
It's beckoning at the moment.
I hear so.
Yeah,
I hear so.
She's been presented with a couple of opportunities, but we have to be cautious. She's only 17. She's still in grade 11, just finished this year. So she's got a bit of work to do also on her personal self. She's got an opportunity that sits with Bournemouth to go and join them for a week. Train as an academy player, train as a Bournemouth player, experience what it is to live there, sort of eat right, be coached by them, play friendlies for them, etc. And just get to understand what it is to be a professional player in a professional setup. Not that there's I think our football in South Africa is getting to that point.
Not the ladies' game, I can tell you that, free of charge. and so we can't even mince our words with that. It's still being played at an amateur level. And because of exactly that. Because if we had to skirt around the issues, we'll never get it right.
100%.
And that is why I was very anti them going to want to host the World Cup here in the country. And when we got knocked out, guys, of the World Cup, it was a great run. But it was also an indicator of how better we could be if we were a professional setup. So when we withdrew or whatever happened, I was like, great. Forget about hosting. We can host anything. But try and host professionals. Let those professionals be the ones that set the mark. Now, when you say it's 17 now, professional players are being unleashed. They come on. They play. The game has gotten younger in terms of who you bring in. But if you're able to bring the balance between education and playing, surely you've got a winner there. And doesn't that opportunity, again, Gabby, say to you, you need to strive for what Bournemouth potentially can give you? Or what's going through your mind when there's this little carrot that's dangling over you right now?
You want to bite the carrot.
You want to. I love that.
Yeah. No, it's, I think I'm just nervous about the opportunity.
Yeah.
Like it's finally come after training for all these years, and I've wanted to be in Europe since I was young, so now having the opportunity to actually now go and take a first step there, that's honestly, it's surreal. Like I can't imagine it happening right now, but I want to step in there and probably do my best and prove to my dad that all the effort he's put into me isn't for nothing.
Your inspiration would be who on the field?
On the field?
Yeah.
Paolo Maldini.
Why?
The way he played football and his mentality.
Yeah.
Just towards the game, I absolutely loved it.
I sense like a dad type of swing there because
that would not be my choice.
No, seriously. I mean, hey, Paolo Maldini, we all love and adore, but it's obviously the older school of football players. So that is why I'm fascinated by that. Even if it's a dad influence, I honestly don't care. It's just the fact that you still stick by it. You don't stick by wherever's cool and, Messi and the usual names.
No, dad's influence would probably be R9 and Marcelo.
Oh, that would
he absolutely loves me. He's like, You that. that is a miss.
But while you're still breaking down the Paolo Maldini thing, I think out of my fascination is, what is it about Maldini that sticks out for you?
Probably his aggression on the park.
Yeah.
He's one to actually win the ball, whether it be I'm having to make the slide tackle, whether I'm having to put my head in the way of a player's boot, like those very dangerous and risky tackles that you don't necessarily see nowadays.
Yeah.
But just his pure aggression in the game, I absolutely loved.
Well, see, it was Mr. Scars and all.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It really didn't care which way it came through.
Her legs look like that.
Hey, the principal here, cracking the whip. Prince, I mean, again, another story that could potentially end with a South African in Bournemouth. That's literally where we are right now.
A beautiful, it would be a beautiful story, man. And for me, before even we get to the Bournemouth issue, I mean, when I was hearing her story, at the age of 17, the things she's already done, the club she's already played for. I mean, she's played for JVW. Yes. She's played for Wits. Now she's playing for UJ. And even before that, she was playing with boys and playing much better than boys. I mean, I don't think she gives herself credit there. If you play regularly with boys that are older than you.
Yeah, for Safa Joburg League and everything else.
And she's been to Spain, she's been to Portugal. I mean, she's played against Sporting, Benfica and all the other teams, from abroad. And she's still only 17 years old. Yeah. So I think the Bournemouth opportunity came at the right time, and it came to the right player in terms of the mentality, the focus. I mean, I'm shocked when she's saying Paolo Maldini is a role model, because I'm thinking here, even for me, Paolo Maldini is old school,
Old school, but the best.
Exactly. Yeah. So it shows you the focus and understanding, because it means she's not going with the wind, following what everyone is following, but she understands and she's picked that player because that's the player that maybe she will model.
Yeah.
Her style of play, especially the mentality, as she said. But obviously the game has evolved since then. There were things that she will take there. There are things she will leave there. But, her mentality for me and determination, I think she's the right type of player. And for me, what was also most interesting was the fact that we don't get many young South African female footballers that are getting opportunities at this age to go overseas. And I used to have this conversation with you that even with the boys, they must leave at this age, 17, 18, as early as possible, or younger, or if there's an opportunity. As we've seen over the years, there are younger boys that are already in Europe. So this is what we want as well for the female footballers, because this is what is going to, at the end of the day, benefit South Africa, the national teams.
I mean, imagine if you had to rewind time and you have a Jermaine Seposinwe who would have been 17 getting an opportunity to play anywhere in Europe, a Thembi Kgatlana getting an opportunity to go play anywhere. They would have cracked it, believe you me, because the commentators at that World Cup were in awe of what South Africans had, just in terms of raw talent, ability, on and off the ball, running, off the ball, collect, the usual stuff that we associate with South African football. But Bournemouth, though, how soon is this likely to happen?
This should be happening in March, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
March, April.
April, somewhere around there.
So what's left? Sometimes there are things that are missing that need to be filled in. So what is left?
So we're obviously putting a massive drive towards fundraising to get her there. So there's obviously an expense that we have to incur to get her there, visas, flights, accommodation, etc. In terms of initially getting there. They'll take care of her when she's there, obviously, but there's a cost associated to a training camp of this sort.
Please give us that cost.
Well, we're talking in excess of about 40,000 rand at the moment that we're trying to raise to get her there. And of
to
course,
get her back, or you just getting her there? One-way ticket?
I would like the one-way ticket option.
I would think so too, because it means that Bournemouth are happy
and that's the hope, right? That's the hope, that somebody sitting along the sidelines looks at her, says, that's the type of player. She's got a fantastic left and right foot, being able to deliver quality crosses into the box. So, that's the type of quality that's required when you're playing in Europe, in the UK. Maybe not here, because you're not always going to find somebody willing to put their head on the head of the ball with that type of quality coming into the box. So they might love it there.
Ambidextrous, I love it. And, some of those shared qualities, maybe just very quickly, Prince, we are running out of time. Then that's why I said we want to put the marker, introduce South Africans to Gabby and say, guys, surely by end of today, we should be able to clap this 40K, put it one side, make sure that trip happens so that we're not worrying about, rands and cents. We are worried about her being on that flight and going to Bournemouth. So we'll ensure that something happens. Even people that are driving and listening, trust me, we're dealing with different caliber people here that love these stories and want to see the end of it happen positively. The drive forward now, because as I say, mixing the education with the footballing side is not a problem. A lot of these academies stress that, they want that. So it's not even something that a parent should worry about, not something that Trevor should worry about. Am I right?
No, definitely. Definitely. I mean, even in Europe, I know that they've got a system there, a scholarship system. I think when you reach the age of 16, and they still want you to be with the academy. I mean, they offer you scholarships, so that also includes the education side of things. So I would think that even for players who are incoming, want to continue with their education, there's programs that are meant to deal with that. So. I just hope also she will have the drive, and I think with her mentality, she definitely will have the drive to balance the two and up to a certain level where, the education side as well can be sorted, and then she can also follow her dreams of being a footballer. So I wish her all the best.
Yeah. Almost out of time, Gabby? I think just your final words, just your dreams. Give me a crazy Gabby right now in terms of what's going through your mind.
Out of dreams?
Yeah.
I'd probably say playing in Spain for Real Madrid, preferably.
Well, Jude Bellingham's still there, hey?
Yeah, for now. Playing in Madrid, probably, and hopefully being able to make the next national team call up for the World Cup. So I would like to play for the national team at that level and hopefully do something and make an impact, a positive impact on the history of women's football in South Africa. So that's probably my craziest one.
I love it because it can become reality. Your 10-second wish as a father, Trevor.
10-second wish, just to see her make a professional debut in Europe. That would be, for me, the highlight.
I love that. Prince, you're going to come back because we want to know about some of the questions that were being posed to you. Greg, talking about players being adopted. Somebody else wanted to applaud you for the work that you're doing. You know what? You'll be back for the full hour when you sign off, when we take you to the Tambo International Airport with the family. Because I can see there's Chiefs, there's Man United here. I don't know what else the other family members support, but it will all be there in full support of that. This is a beautiful story. Beautiful story, guys. Let's let it end happily. Thank you so much, guys. We'll catch you again tomorrow.
#MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live at the same time. #MSW.